Hi boys and girls, welcome to this week's Ask a Pastor. This week Delaney has a question for us.
Hi Pastor Steve, I have another question. Was Satan actually a real angel? Thank you.
Hello Delaney, thank you for the question, and it is an important one. Was Satan an angel? Well, the truth of the scripture is that Satan actually was an angel. Now, in the beginning, when God created everything, He created it good. But at some point before the fall of Adam and Eve, Lucifer, or Satan himself, he decided that he wanted to be God, or he wanted to ascend and be higher than God. And so he fell as an angel from heaven. And then he tempted Adam and Eve, and they sinned, and the whole world has been suffering ever since. So the biblical passages that would help us to understand would be, first of all, Isaiah chapter number 14. Let me read this for you. Chapter 14, verse number 12 says, how are you fallen from heaven, O Lucifer? So that's a name for Satan. Son of the morning, right? This is a kind of an angelic being. He says, how you have come down to the ground and you've weakened the nations by your fall. And then notice this in verse number 13. This is Isaiah 14:13. For you have said in your heart, I will ascend into heaven. I will exalt my throne above the stars of God. I will sit also on the mount of the congregation in the sides of the north. I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will be like the Most High. You know, what we want to remember is part of the reason why Satan fell is because of that word I, all the way through there. And we want to be careful about pride. The Bible says that pride goes before a fall. And so we need to be careful that our life is not all about I and what we can get and ascending above God, but we submit ourselves under God. And so if we don't want to be like the devil, we don't want to be like Lucifer, we don't want to have a disposition that says it's all about I, right? We want it to be all about God. And then I would just remind you that in Luke chapter number 10, and verse number 18, Jesus, speaking of that passage in Isaiah, said, and he said unto them, I beheld Satan as lightning falling from heaven. So that's just some metaphorical language there to say that, yes, Satan was an angel and that he fell from heaven, and he fell because of his own pride and his own rebellion against God. And the lesson for us to learn is for us not to be prideful or arrogant, but humble under the mighty hand of God, and He will exalt us in due season. What a great question. Let's be careful to learn our lesson from that so that we don't fall like he did.
Hey Delaney, thank you so much for your question, and thank you to Pastor Steve for your answer. Now this month we've been talking about faith, and the definition we've been using for faith is trusting in what you can't see because of what you can see. That's a pretty good definition, isn't it? Our Bible verse is from Hebrews 11, and it says that faith is being sure of what we hope for and certain of what we cannot see. And I think Delaney's question kind of plays into that a little bit. There's a lot that our Bible tells us that we can't directly see, but we trust and we know who God is, what He tells us in His Word, and what we see around us, and all of those things point to what we can't see now, but later we will be able to see. When we get to heaven, so many things will be explained that we can't quite fully understand just now. Now this week, we talked in our Bible story time in our So-and-So show about Paul, and it's from the book of Acts chapter 9. You can flip there now if you'd like and read that whole story, or go back onto the Facebook page or to your parents' email and find the Lego story from this week. And the bottom line this week was, knowing Jesus changes the way you see everything. Do you think that's true? I think it's true. When I know Jesus, when I know His love and His truth and His grace and His faithfulness, it changes the way I see myself. It changes the way I see you. It changes the way I see everybody around me. When we know Jesus, we see others with compassion, with kindness, with love, with grace. And that makes us be able to follow and trust Jesus on an amazing adventure that He has for our lives. We don't have to worry about what's going to happen tomorrow or the next day or the next day, because we know and can trust that Jesus knows what's going to happen and he loves us so very much. He's got the best plan for us. So let's continue to trust him, follow him, and believe that he's got an amazing way forward for us. Will you do that this week? That's what I'm going to try to do this week. Have a great week, boys and girls.